o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Please be seated.
No.
Everyone should have received their copy of the minutes from last month. Any additions, corrections, or questions?
I don't.
And I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who did it? Give me a name.
Chris. I'll get the next one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone received a copy of the treasurer's report. Any questions? Then I will make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Presentation of the bills. Any questions from anyone before?
Just the ones we noted already.
Then I will make a motion to pay vouchers 1 through 5, 7 through 9, and 11 through 40 for a total of $13,431.83.
I will second that.
Tony?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
All right, communications. I didn't receive anything this month, so moving on to general report. The last day to notify the district secretary in writing of your intent to run for a commissioner's position is November 24th. There are 2 positions open. One is a 2-year term and one is a 5-year term, and the written notification of intent must include which of the terms you are intending to run for. The voting for commissioners will be Tuesday, December 14th. And in-house district chief and chief's elections are the first Saturday in December, which will be December 4th. Which we'll have to start working on ballots and getting that together. That is all I have for administration, unless you have something.
I did not.
Okay. Finance, we have a couple of resolutions that we need to read. That's the first one.
Resolution 21-28, override real property tax cap for the 2022 budget. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District must adopt a proposed budget for 2022, an estimate of fund balances in preparation for the annual Fire District budget hearing, and did so in preparation for the budget hearing. And whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District held the annual Fire District budget hearing on notice to the public on October 19th, 2021. And whereas the board has considered the proposed budget and comments received on the proposed budget on October 19th, 2021 at set budget hearing. And whereas the board has determined that the financial needs of the fire districts and fire department for fiscal year 2022 cannot be supported by a budget that will comply with the real property tax cap established pursuant to Section 3C of the General Municipal Laws, as the proposed budget for 2022 calls for a real property tax levy that will exceed the real property tax cap permitted only a 2% increase in said tax levy. And whereas Section 3C of the General Municipal Law provides as follows: a local government may adopt a budget that requires a tax levy that is greater than the tax levy limit for the coming fiscal year, not including any levy necessary to support the expenditures pursuant to subparagraph 1 through 4 of paragraph G of subdivision 2 of this section, only if the governing body of such local government first enacts by a vote of 60% of the total voting power of such body a local law to override such limit for such coming fiscal year only, or in the case of a district or fire district, a resolution approved by a vote of 60% of the total voting power of such body to override such limit for such coming fiscal year only. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners hereby approves a determination to override the real property tax cap for the 2022 budget only in order to permit an annual real property tax levy that will exceed the real property tax cap, permitting only a 2% increase in said tax levy and result in a final annual fire district budget in the amount of $1,935,266.39. And the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote, and upon roll call, the vote was as follows.
Tony,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Resolution 21-29. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District must adopt a proposed budget for 2022 and estimate of fund balances in preparation for the annual fire district budget hearing, and did so in preparation for the budget hearing. And whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District held the annual fire district budget hearing on notice to the public on October 19, 2021, and whereas the board has considered the proposed budget and comments received on the proposed budget on October 20th,
It's supposed to be 19, sorry.
should be 2021 also.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas the board has considered the proposed budget and comments received on the proposed budget on October 19, 2021 at said budget hearing, and whereas the board has determined that the financial needs of the fire district and the fire department for fiscal year 2022 cannot be supported by a budget that will comply with the real property tax cap established pursuant to section 3C of the general municipal laws proposed as the proposed budget for 2022 calls for a real property tax levy that will exceed the real property tax cap, permitting only a 2% increase in said tax levy. And whereas section 3C of the general municipal law provides as follows: a local government may adopt a budget that requires a tax levy that is greater than the tax levy limit for the coming fiscal year, not including any levy necessary to support the expenditures pursuant in subparagraphs 1 through 4 of paragraph G of subdivision 2 of this section, only if the governing body of such local government first enacts by a vote of 60% of the total voting power of such body a local law to override such limit for such coming fiscal year only, or in the case of a district or fire district, a resolution approved by a vote of 60% of the total voting power of such body to override such limit for such coming fiscal year only. Whereas previously at this meeting, this Board of Fire Commissioners passed a resolution to override the real property tax cap for the 2022 budget. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners hereby approves the final budget for the Northwest Fire District for 2022, attached hereto and make a part hereof the final amount of $1,935,266.39. The adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote, and upon roll call vote was as follows.
Tony,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Or I can go.
Oh, I said it was later on in the meeting,
Yeah, no.
sorry. Resolution 21-30, appointing Board of Elections. Whereas Section 175 of the town law provides for a special election of fire districts, and whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners is authorized to appoint election inspectors and ballot clerks at such elections. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resident electors of the Northwest Fire District are hereby appointed to constitute the Board of Elections for the Northwest Fire District, and a fire district election to be held on December 14th, 2021. Louise Corrigan, chairperson; Brian Corrigan, ballot clerk; Charles Pickard, ballot clerk. And be it further resolved that the chairman and the ballot clerks be compensated in the amount of $40 for their services in preparing the registration records and attendance at the special election. And be it further resolved that in case any of the members appointed herein are unable to assume or perform the duties required of them, this Board of Fire Commissioners will appoint alternates who are resident electors. And be it further resolved that if clerical help is deemed necessary, this Board of Fire Commissioners will consider the appointment of such clerical persons upon request of the chairman of the Fire District Board of Elections. Resolved November 2nd, 2021. The adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote, and upon roll call, the vote was as follows.
Tony,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Truck maintenance.
Yes, all of the Plymouth event stuff has been completed with the exception of Lakeside squads. That was part of the program. I've been chasing some ERTs for everything, for all the vehicles. It seems like I'll get them buttoned down and buttoned up and cleaned up, and all of a sudden somebody has a day off of work and I get about 20. Just reminding the chief's office, they don't get addressed, immediately. I try to group everything together, and if things are a priority, by all means it gets addressed, but they don't get forgotten. I know I just finished some stuff up for 21 and it got back in, and then I got a new one for a seat a day back, so we're doing the best we can, but the PMs were all completed for the year. Work in progress for everybody.
Building and grounds, Chuck?
Oh, wait, do we need to discuss the vehicle maintenance thing?
Is it?
Put the truck
Or is it
maintenance.
down?
I put it under truck maintenance.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go over that, if we don't mind, all right?
Yeah.
So we gotta go out to the maintenance contracts due to expire. We have everything in place. The only question I had was I believe very strongly that I want the routine, vehicle maintenance completed at a facility and not at our firehouse. Rick and I just talked and we cleared up what we misunderstood. The only thing I wanted to make darn sure was, again, oil changes, things along those lines. I don't want it done on your brand new firehouse floor. So, do you guys read this the same way I do?
Do we have to put that clause in there or that line in there that PMs will be done at the,
I don't think it hurts to put it in.
I think just so there's no confusion or reading into it that, well, it doesn't specify it
Yeah.
can't. I think we should add that line that it needs to be taken to their facility for all
For
PMs.
PM work.
Right.
I'm okay with, if, we got I got a punch list and it has to do with light bulbs and stupid things that they come to the firehouse and do that. So as long as we put the word,
You want it in
PM,
here? You want it in here in one of the bullet numbers?
I would assume that's the
Okay.
best place.
Yeah.
Other than that, this is, there's probably 6 companies that can bid on this for a competitive bid, so that doesn't rule out anybody.
I'll add that in.
You
All
s-
PM work must be done at the facility.
At their
At their
facility. Are you guys good with the number? I think I provided 5 or 6 companies. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
I think that's good as well. Okay, then I say we can get it out in the mail as soon as possible. Unless anybody else has any.
We just gotta button up the dates and stuff on here. And we probably should make it, right now it says a period of March 11th.
Yeah, this
The
is just
current-
last year's
Yeah,
copy.
but the current one expires on the 31st of December, so it wasn't even a full year. I'm just saying we probably should make it 1 year from date of award.
Well, we want a 2-year contract.
2 years from date of
Yeah.
award though,
Yeah.
not ending you know, at the end
Right.
of the year.
Other than that, I'm good with it.
Updated Station 2 floor, I'm meeting the vendor on Thursday that took a color. He had to have half the money, so I had to get the drawing in. So we do all that at the same time. Other things we've been working on, got the air systems at Station 4 almost completed. Also going through, getting the snow blowers ready for the winter. Station 4, the little doghouse entrance, going into their larger home. I noticed the roof was dented. After looking at it more, it was dented to the point where it had a hole in it. So the roof, the metal was replaced on that to seal the hole up. We had to get all different metal, because you're not going to match it. Also, I have touched base with Fred Klein to go through the heating, get the heating systems going through. A couple of things I know, one thermostat at Station 4, I put new batteries, I had to do one for Joanne upstairs. I'm not doing anything, so I told him to look at that. There's a heater at Station 5 that kind of went bad last year, but it was so late in the year, so I wasn't going to have him worry about it, so I told him to look at it, leaking gas or something, so I told him to look at that. Other than that,
Wayne?
I sent the RTPs to everybody for you to review if you guys had any questions for them. Do you need me to go through any of them? I certainly can.
I looked at them, I personally looked at it all, and there's room in each category for the work to get done. Are we missing an RTP to 2080? Didn't you send an additional email about 1-inch booster hose? I don't see
Oh,
that
it's not
on
on
here.
here? Yeah.
So we need to add that one also, which there's obviously room in the hose replacement budget to take care of that also.
Yeah, because they blew both 50-foot hose on squad 1.
You know what that total is?
$350.
Are they putting single jacket wildland hose, or what are you putting on here?
Well, I got prices for the single jacket wildland hose and the one that I got the pricing here for was Keyfire hose, red booster hose.
The only reason why I ask is that stuff that when we get the New York State DEC grant, we could get that, you know, probably was original on there, right, that blue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just make sure we're getting the
Yeah.
better quality is where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I mean,
Long as
I got pricing for, you know, the single jacket, Fireland hose, and I got pricing, you know, obviously the red booster line hose.
All right.
Just like you said, I think it's probably more of the fact that it's probably.
Yeah, it's original, for sure. And I bet you that was not hose tested.
One thing too, the exhaust for both the pumps on those is really close to
Yeah.
the hose and hose reel, and the hose can just sit on
Sure.
that, so if we put some sort of heat deflector or something over the top of it, it might help.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good.
I'll make a motion, if there are any other questions, I'll make a motion to move forward with RTPs 2076 through 2080 for $1,339.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Update on security and computers? Oh, did you have anything else?
Thank you, Santana.
Working on it. Guys would like this long.
Offer adjournment?
So,
I only have one thing, just with Alpine, Megan, Wayne, myself, and Assistant Chief Matoli did a little training this, or last week. And we're gonna be getting the final couple things with the work order module set up, and I'll meet with you, Tony, and then the line officers and the rest of the chiefs, so we can get that going by the end of November. Yep.
Safety report, Mr. Hubbard.
Yes, good evening. It's your safety and health report for October. No illnesses or injuries reported since our last meeting here. I'm going to do a end of the year roll-up so you can see what our experience has been for the year and what the state and other areas around the United States, what their experiences have been. COVID, no further issues with COVID reports at this point. No new cases since our last meeting. We're going through some closeouts and some of the documentation. Revised safety procedures. Some of you have a copy, and we'll send out to full commissioners and officers of a letter that came from the New York Department of Labor regarding this is Pesh, regarding a temporary standard to help make sure that health care of the workers is primary concern. It's been adopted. Still some discussion going on. I'm working on the transition from their document to what we would use. North Syracuse Fire Department, I know the chief there, he and I have been working together on this. They were the ones that came out with the first iteration of the temporary guidelines back in March of last year. So they've got the handle on it, and they're sharing with us. So that'll be coming out soon. The other thing is still being discussed, but I'm sure it's going to end up being part of federal law, is going to be to change the brigade standard. You've been around here long enough, you've heard the standard 1910-156. That's the fire brigades. That's changing. What they're doing is incorporating a lot of what's already out there, the NFPA standards that we've been talking about for the last 25 years. That'll be incorporated in definitions, some different things in it. It's a 40-page document right now, but a lot of that's got, there's some discussions about what we're going to be doing going forward. No news as to when it's going to hit the street as far as training, but we'll probably have to train with it, at least become familiar with it, with the changes. The same with the ETS. So those are two important documents. Both are federal based. In fact, they were able to apparently move quickly through the federal to state process, which usually takes time. So they were able to move through that with the intent of making sure that we're operating healthy and safely. Brigade standard, it's a big standard, but as I look at it, we've been there before. We've done a lot of it ourselves and continue to do it. So, but I'll be working with others that come along and they have questions or can help us to get us through these standards on the street. So more to come on that. If you have any questions, you know where I am. I will send out, as I said, to all the, unless you have a different list, I will send commissioners, chiefs, and officers. And I'll send this information out with a little note of explanation, like I sent you. Right. Change of seasons coming up. You know, 3 areas that we have responsibility of: fire station, fire ground, and response. And typically, a change of seasons affects 2 areas primarily: fire station and the response. Response to the apparatus operating properly, proper speed, proper due diligence, especially as the grounds change, start getting slippery weather. Fire stations, trips, slips, and falls have been a problem over the years. We need to make sure that we're mitigating those hazards. And I've had people say, well, what do I do? I said, go to your station officer, go to your station lieutenant, your captain, station chief of the safety. Take the chain, work the chain from the bottom up. You should get results first time out. If something needs to be fixed, you can't fix it, don't fix it. Get it fixed. We've got a couple of good guys here that are really into this, keeping our maintenance up, so I want to continue with that. Sorry for my voice, I don't know what's going on. I didn't speak much today, so it's not used to talking here or something. No, I don't have COVID. Anybody have any questions for me as far as what we're going to do here with the standards and what's coming? As soon as I get information, I'll pass it on. That's it for the safety report.
Chief's comments. We have Deputy Chief Kevin DeGoyle with us tonight.
We have 80 alarms for the month of October. Station 1 with 398 members, average of 4.97 members per call. Station 2 with 175 members with an average of 2.18 members per call. Station 3, 359 members with an average of 4.48 members per call. And Station 4 with 67 members with an average of 0.83 members per call. A couple other things that I have. We did take delivery of our rapid deployment craft, the RDC that we ordered for ice rescue. We will be training on that on November 4th and November 13th. We did notice that we are going to need an adapter for filling that device with our 5.5 bottle instead of using the 4.5, so the 4.5 is out of the way. So the RTP will be forthcoming. And then the only other thing I have is Car 1 and Car 2's towers did have some tire installed on it, and the other chiefs are scheduling their appointments within 2 weeks, I think. So unless anybody has questions for me?
Nominations and resignations. Baldwinsville has the following resignations: Ed Coakley, Nate Nyhart, Nate Monica, and James Butera. Lysander has none, but Lysander will be picking up Nate Monica. He's eventually moving into Lysander's district, so he'll be running out of Lysander now. And then Henry Hoskin has moved out of the district, but would like to stay a member. The Baldwinsville Fire Department approved that continued membership. So unless anybody has any questions or problems, we will continue it as well. All right. Old business. I don't have anything unless someone else.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't send it over to her. So just the new engine, the inspection date is set for December 8th down in Bradenton, Florida. So the initial plan that I would like to be able to do is fly down on the 7th, return on the 9th. I'm still going to talk to Mike a little bit about that. Right now, looking up, it's on average about $200 per person per flight, and it's about $150 for hotel room per night. One thing just to keep in mind too is we did save the $6,900 with the down payment based on the interest of the build, so that's definitely something we can keep keep in mind towards that. Since that will be before the next meeting and the next workshop as well, probably we need to get those booked. What is the rest of your guys' thoughts on how many to go down and who?
Well, obviously you need to go. You were a big part of the program. What's your plan? I mean, we don't need 6 people.
I was gonna say, I think last time we went, we had 3, right? No, we had 4. We
We
had
had
Rob,
4.
because we had the committee chair,
Yep.
and then the chief went, and then you and I went for 2 commissioners.
Yep.
So I would say no more than 4. So if you can get
Kevin,
3.
who on your end you thinking?
That's something Chris and I have to talk about.
I mean, as long as it's people involved and it makes sense, I'm all in. It needs to be done. That's part of the process. It needs to be done. We were in Iowa. You guys are going to Florida, really? we with corn and lots.
So just to have a little wiggle room then, I'd like to ask for approval to, for $2,000 for 4 people for flights and hotel, up to.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
What's that?
$2,000 for up to 4 people. I'll make that motion for the final inspection. That's the final, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a
Yep.
second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll get with you on that then. Get those booked.
I don't have it with me.
I can stop up and grab the travel card. That way we put it on there. No?
I'm not sure if the travel, I was
$750.
gonna say, I'm not sure that the
Oh,
travel
yeah.
card can,
It's useless.
Probably won't cover your parking at the airport.
No.
Yeah.
well,
But
it'll
let's-
cover a hotel, it'll cover,
Yeah.
it's
Couple.
not gonna,
Yeah.
right, but it's not gonna cover,
I'll talk to you after.
okay. I just, make sure you get it before I leave, 'cause I don't have it with me tonight. We'll have to meet up with you. Any other old business? Do you have anything else?
We're gonna talk about water pressure stations, right, or want to do that?
Oh, no, I can mention it. So we, as most of you know, have been in discussion with the engineers and the plumber for the water pressure issues at the Station 3 that you guys have informed us of. In working through that, they thought they had figured out what the problem was and went in and made some changes to a solenoid valve. Well, it did help some of the pressure. I'm being told it's still not quite where you guys would prefer it to be. So our next step is to add a booster pump, which is kind of what we thought all along. Tom did actually work up and give me some information about the booster pump that he thinks will be appropriate for the station and the routes that we want. I was actually going to forward that to Jeff, and you might be a little more familiar with this stuff. Maybe you have something or know of having connections with the water department. Maybe they might recommend something, but I figured it's a good place for you to start.
It probably wouldn't hurt, and maybe you already have involved Chuck at the beginning, because no
Oh,
matter
he's
what
been
we
involved
buy,
a couple of
it'll
times.
come around and say we should have done something different. So let's do it on the front half.
We've done that already.
Yeah, no, he's been involved. He's been
Okay,
out
good.
done
As long as
testing
that's
and, yeah.
the case, good.
We've checked valves, everything, make sure the valves are.
100, he,
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, everything going into the station is where it's supposed to be. It's just when it gets into the station, it just drops.
So what happened is when we ended up having to put the sewer line in after everything was already engineered for,
Yep.
because we had to put the sewer line in, Onondaga County came back and said that we had to put these solenoid valves in, and there's springs on the front end and the back end, and between them, there's two, and there's 5 pounds of pressure on the back end each, and there was like 3 pounds of pressure on the front end each. So that's pretty much where our 10 pounds of pressure is dropping from. They took out the ones on the front, they can't take out the ones on the back for Onondaga County. So our next step is to do a booster.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay. All right.
Trust them, I don't know, we've been going back and forth about this for, I don't know, 4 months, 6 months, I think, since we've been in the station. So, it's been a while, so, yeah, I'll get you over that information and let you kind of run with it.
I did have one more thing, just an update climb event. As Tony mentioned, all the vehicle side stuff's done except Lakeside. And then all the stations are done except there's a little bit more at Station 2, it'll be done tomorrow. And then they're gonna go do an inspection at each station. They're gonna be at Senate Fire Department next, so they can stop back, you know, and do
Hopefully,
Station 4 and 5.
hopefully they're very close.
Because they said even when you're done, we can hook them up and everything's fine, they just still want to swing back through and do an inspection.
Chris, didn't you say you were gonna do some sort of in-service training?
Yes.
I know I talked to the service manager that did the installs. He'd like to be involved in that if he could attend.
Okay.
If you could just share
Yeah.
the date in the email, just share it with.
I walked through it with Station 1 last week on
Yeah.
their station night, so they can start using this one up here. So I'll definitely
All
do
right,
that.
yeah, just communicate with them directly,
Yep,
please.
my plan was kind of just to walk through it per station,
Okay.
you know, instead of trying to get everybody together, but I'll talk to Chief Natoli too and see if I can steal a few minutes at the beginning, one of the training nights. So, but everything's gone great so far, and there's been no issues, nothing they found, so, John, I will let you know when we're good to make the payment, but it's not due until 21 days after after completion, which
Okay.
completion is approved by us. We get to sign off that everything's good, so.
Where do we stand on the money coming back?
So, boy, this has been a lot of fun. So, every time I submit an invoice, FEMA comes back and tells me they need more detail on it. So, they finally gave me a list of everything that they want on the invoice. Air Clean got me the corrected invoice, and when I went to go submit it today to FEMA, their website's down. So I will, I'm gonna try to go on tomorrow and get that.
Okay. Do we still have an issue with the boot on the rescue pumper?
Yes.
Which one is that, Jerome or the final one?
No, no offense.
Okay.
Just needs a small one.
It needs a smaller boot because the one that's on there is for the bigger exhaust pipes, and it just falls off of the rest.
Switch it out.
Any idea why they would have put a smaller exhaust pipe on that?
We probably figured the biggest one.
They would, no way.
No, I'm saying why they put the smaller one on the truck itself.
It
Because
was designed that way. I mean, they
Every
didn't
other-
change anything else.
every other truck has been converted to the same size for the large apparatus, and then the small vehicles, the pickups and everything in the small one. Okay. So the only problem with doing that is
It goes
if you
on,
move,
but doesn't tight, it's not tight because it's the boost for the bigger pipe.
if we do go to a smaller boot,
You
no
can't
other
move stuff
vehicles will
around.
be.
I was gonna
will
say,
fit
what-
there. So,
I don't believe I think that the RP3 exhaust was done a while back, or
That was done at the factory.
so it'd be easier to change the small extension pipe on the truck and go bigger than mess with the Plymouth vent. I could probably, that's a couple hours work at best. We're probably better off doing it that way, wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree? That way, if you're moving trucks around, it'll all fit. We certainly don't want a
Yeah.
smaller one on one side. Let's just agree to do that.
I was just thinking if something was ever out of service and you had to, or if the rescue was ever out of service and you had to move something else over there.
Yeah, I'll just put a
not gonna
different
fit,
exhaust.
so.
It's called an extension pipe. We'll do it that way. I think that's better. Universal.
Any other old business? All right, any new business?
I do. FEMA just come out today that they're opening up the new grant for the following year. Just come out. I just got it forwarded from people I know, and I don't know if we want to revisit that truck thing again. I don't think it's going to hurt, in my opinion.
So, like I mentioned, 10K will redo or rewrite the grant adjust for half cost, so $500. As well as we can still, there's a couple other options you can go in for the engine and another thing if possible. Mike and Nancy at 10K there were both convinced that the fact that we got the climate event the year before could have been a good factor in why they didn't approve it this time, especially with the support we did have for it.
I absolutely think we should apply for another truck.
I had it down on my list.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
No, I wanted to kind of get a sense what we want to do because the clock starts now for that.
I'd like, in my opinion, a truck and a bowl. That's where I'm.
They won't do the boats.
They won't do that? Okay. All right.
Unfortunately, they don't fund that. However, there is a couple other avenues that recently I've heard about, so through the state. So I'm gonna work on that one.
I can tell you the state's giving money out.
Yeah. Ryan May there for the county legislature.
Brian, man?
Brian, yeah. Brian mentioned that there's some money through our county ledge, but he mentioned there's some money through the state legislature and state senate, so he's going to help me connect with some people on that side.
Any other new business? All right, station usage, Station 4 on November 20th for a party for Dave Hollister, and December 30th for Larry Klein for a wedding reception. Any comments from the public? Okay. Necessity for an executive session? Nope, okay. Next meeting, the monthly workshop will be Tuesday, November 23rd, and the monthly meeting will be Tuesday, December 14th. That does coincide with the commissioner elections, so just be aware that both will be going on at the same time. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:40. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.